Hello, I'm David D. Cosmo. Welcome to ECTV Live. I'm joined by my co-host Rusty Fender.
Good.
And
David.
one of our great guests has come back to see us again to talk about a big event that's coming up. Marco Marcinko is representing the annual Scranton Jazz Festival. Marco,
Always a pleasure, Marco.
Thank you, Rusty.
Yeah,
Thank you, David.
now the festival's
Always
coming
a
up
pleasure.
when? What's the dates?
August 4, 5, and 6.
Okay, 3-day event.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in downtown Scranton.
Okay, background. How did the Jazz Fest? When I think of Jazz Festival,
Yeah,
I guess I think of Newport,
of course.
Delaware Water Gap, I think.
Delaware Water Gap, of course.
Another,
many years
and of
up
course,
there.
a local one up there.
Yeah.
There's 13, lucky 13 here.
Right here in Scranton.
How'd it
right
start?
in downtown
How'd it get
Scranton.
started here?
Well, I'll tell you a very quick, brief history. We started at Naog Park. We started 13 years ago under a very large tent that was in Hanlon's Grove, if you remember.
Yeah.
And there was this beautiful tent that the county put up, and Scranton Public Theater was running many events there, and we decided to have a one-day Scranton Jazz Festival in this tent. It was so successful that the following year we moved to 2 days. It was so successful we moved it to 3 days. Then the following year, a big snowstorm came and knocked the tent down.
Took down that tent,
Yep.
yeah.
Big
Yeah.
February storm, knocked down the tent, lost the tent, and we had somewhere to...
Initially, did they say, you want to do a jazz festival here?
Well, they always say that,
Well, no
Rusty.
doubt.
They always,
No doubt.
anywhere you go in the world, they
You're
say
right.
that.
You're right,
But-
they do.
But we said, yeah, we want to do a jazz festival, and some said that it wouldn't last a year, but sorry to say we're in 13 years now to those naysayers, and we're doing very well. We're very successful. We have some of the world-class artists coming to Scranton, performing for our Northeastern Pennsylvania audience.
But after that snowstorm took down your stage, all of a
Yes.
sudden you've got to find yourself a venue.
And we went to the Radisson. We went to the Radisson Hotel because at the Radisson Hotel in downtown Scranton, there's this carport that's in the back area where the train cars used
That
to
was
drop
the
off the
waiting
baggage.
platform
That's right.
for the trains. That's correct.
And now it's a parking area that's covered. So whether it's rain or shine, we have this covered area that we turn into a beautiful amphitheater.
No weather
And we have
concerns.
no weather concerns whatsoever. We have a state-of-the-art sound system that goes in there, a concert sound system that is comparable to anything that you would see at Toyota Pavilion or anywhere else in the country. And that is provided by Endeavor. Sound and audio, and then Craig Friedman Production does a huge stage for us with a arch and draping and wonderful seats and tenting that comes from Boulevard Rental, and we have this really wonderful amphitheater that we design to present our musicians.
Okay, now I go back to, in a sense, what Rusty asked about, because we know there are a lot of rock concerts in the area. You just had one recently in Montage Mountain that's actually gotten some controversy because of the folks that camp out there and such.
The bisque.
But you expect
Yes.
a big crowd for something like that.
Yes.
Let's be honest
Yes.
about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Is jazz, can that pull in? I mean, obviously, an expansion of the festival shows that it's successful.
Right.
I don't know if you've done anything with regard to numbers.
We do great numbers. We do thousands of individuals that come through on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
We see thousands of patrons that love jazz, some that repeat themselves each night now, of course. A Friday night, a Saturday, a Sunday. Then we have those that just come for Friday, those that just come for Saturday, those that just
Or
come
for
for
particular
Sunday.
groups they'd like to see or something.
Right, exactly. Or that come from out of town, like Reading, Maryland. You mentioned Newport before, coming down from Rhode Island or Connecticut for the Jazz Festival, staying in our hotels here in the area, and then coming to the Jazz Festival for the weekend.
So you
and
are
making the
drawing them
package.
from out of the area.
Absolutely, and we're thrilled about that because with the name recognitions of the artists that we have coming, such as Stanley Clark, 4-time Grammy Award-winning jazz bassist and producer, and his band, and the great John Pizzarelli, who's been touring all over the world. He was an opening act for Frank Sinatra, for Paul McCartney. Many Grammy-nominated recordings. These kind of artists are coming in, and they're appearing here in Scranton, and it's drawing great numbers from the outside. So we're a little different than the the rave party that goes on with some of the rock concerts. we have lots of people that are coming through, but we also offer at the Radisson some great food for the people that if they want to come to the venue and they want to have something to eat. There's some great wine and spirits and things of that nature. And then there's some great artisans that are there as well for people to see some visual
But this
art.
is the creme de la creme. Stanley Clarke is like the epitome of the George Dukes and the,
Oh, yeah.
and the non-crossover mainstream jazz artists.
You nailed it, Rusty.
Which are great though, but
Yeah.
the Spyro Gyras and then songs like Rise by
Right.
Herb Alpert.
Herb Alpert.
Now but you don't want the _1 pop crossover artist because that's more of a kiddie crowd.
That's right.
This is the epitome of the post Bird type
Yep.
of jazz.
I would agree. And Stanley, who has, going back playing with Return to Forever with Chick Corea, but he's
Correct.
also, he was also, it's funny, because I was watching on CNN and they were doing this thing about the 90s, one of their produced shows, and they were talking about Boys in the Hood, and they were talking about John Singleton producing that movie. Well, Stanley Clarke was the musician that was key in doing the soundtrack for that movie. So, I mean, his connections in TV and film, as well as in jazz rock fusion, also playing with the Rolling Stones with Keith Richard and Ronnie Wood, gives him the mainstream appeal and gives him that crossover appeal as well.
You remember the
And we like
Polydor
that.
label, the red label, Polydor,
Yeah,
Polygram?
Polydor. Yeah, Polydor.
Largest selling jazz artist on Polydor, Chick Corea.
Chick
So
Corea.
just go, they say jazz doesn't sell, jazz is alive in the nightclub type of thing, they're totally wrong.
They are wrong. Jazz does great, and we have it very historically locked into northeastern Pennsylvania with our friends in the Delaware Water Gap, but also in Scranton at one time when Scranton was one of the powerhouse anthracite coal and steel areas of this region. We had a red light district, we had the electric city train cars, and we had great jazz here, and we had the Dorsey brothers that played in a group called the Scranton Sirens. Tommy Dorsey and Jimmy Dorsey.
From Shenandoah,
I was gonna say,
Pennsylvania.
Shenandoah,
From
Pennsylvania, right?
Right.
And we had Frank Sinatra coming through here, Louis Armstrong coming through here. So we have a long history.
Now, what's
David, you remember this history?
When I think of the Dorseys,
David.
though, I think big band. I don't necessarily, but there's a jazz.
Oh yeah, there's
connection.
a fusion.
There's a
in
major
that,
connection
absolutely.
there. And
Yep.
speaking of jazz big bands, on Saturday night, August 5th of the Jazz Festival, John Pizzarelli, the gentleman that I mentioned before, great guitarist, great vocalist, he will be appearing with our Scranton Jazz Festival 17-piece big band. So if you love big band music, you want to come on Saturday night and hear that historical, great sound of the big band doing things like Frank Sinatra, Tony
Yeah.
Bennett, and
Now,
that,
see,
and that
I
genre.
think that's important because
Yeah.
we talked before we went on the air about I'm not big into jazz when I think of that guy on the drums for 15 minutes.
What
Yeah.
guy? Which guy?
Well,
Whoever.
He's talking
What guy?
About, he's talking
Who are
about.
you talking about?
No,
Wait
it's
a
true.
minute.
It's true though, because in jazz,
David.
Wait,
no,
he's going to save me.
Jazz
Yeah.
has that stigma,
Yeah,
and it does,
yeah.
that every instrument player has a 15-minute solo in the track.
Well-
and it's kind of true.
And I can't hum
But
to
it's-
it.
See, he's
And
right.
I can't hum
David's
to it.
right.
All right, I understand.
He's right.
I understand. But you can hum to Fly Me to the Moon.
Oh, yeah,
You
right.
can hum to I've Got You Under My Skin.
Right.
You can hum to all of those classic Sinatra sounds that are jazz.
They are jazz?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Popular music, American popular music has its roots in jazz. That's where it comes from. You would not have contemporary or pop music if it wasn't for jazz and what happened in New Orleans going back over 100 years ago.
And look at the movies, Marco. Back in the 1950s, look at one of the biggest movies with the Dorseys and Glenn Miller. Sun Valley Serenade.
Sun Valley Serenade.
Sun Valley
and I
Item.
was thinking with Benny Goodman, the story.
With Benny,
A Song
the Benny
is
Goodman
Born.
story,
Yeah.
exactly right. And Lionel Hampton.
Absolutely.
But the Benny Goodman story, you're right, one of the biggest.
Steve Allen
movies.
played Benny
Steve
Goodman.
Allen, that's correct.
Yes, yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
I do remember that movie. Let's talk about the lineup for that you've got because again, you start on Friday, and I love festivals that go multiple days because I think if you're going to put something together, make it a big attraction. Make
Sure.
it something that, and people can't always come on a particular day. If you got something running 3-4 days,
Chances
better
are good.
odds they're going to be able
Right.
to get to something.
And I got to tell you, David, and I thank you for this because years ago you said to me, I don't think you even remember, but you said when you go big. And that's I took your advice.
How about that?
And we took your
David
advice.
D.
When
Cosmo
you go,
with the advice.
go big. I mean, ECTV.
Too
When
bad
you
Boyer
go
Bailey
big.
still is in business. Go big. Is that what
Go
you said,
big.
David?
That's
Go
what David
big.
said.
My
Go big.
words
I gotta
are
write,
go,
I
go
gotta
big.
write this
Exactly.
down.
Yeah.
Go big, David D. Cosmo.
Rusty.
I'll never forget this, Marco.
That's a quote.
It is a
go
quote.
big.
It's a
He
direct
said it to
quote.
me. So we're doing it. I mean, just look at the
Do you still
studio
have the
here.
paper that you wrote that on?
I
That
didn't
should
even
be
write it
displayed
down.
at
It's
the
right
desk.
here. I'll never forget it. He looked me in the eyes and
He was
said
able
it
to
to me.
retain.
Anyway.
Where's my harmonica? When I need my harmonica, I got my
big.
harmonica. All right. When we last left a lucid conversation.
Yes.
We were going to talk about the artists appearing on the various days of the program. Begins on Friday, August the 4th, 5 in the evening. Tell us what's our lineup.
On August 4th, if you come at around 5 o'clock, you could catch the happy hour that's happening on the Tracks patio, at the Radisson. Some, nice things that they're taking care of. At 7:30, our opening group is the Indigo Moon Brass Band, which is out of that New Orleans tradition, brass band. So it's multiple horns with percussion. Very exciting. sort of
Typical
sound.
Bourbon Street stuff.
That's
Yeah,
right.
big
That
time.
Bourbon
Yeah,
Street
sound.
That
Yeah.
French Quarter,
Yeah.
New Orleans style.
Absolutely.
You're
We're
right,
going to go for an
Rusty.
hour then, right?
Yeah, they'll play 45 minutes, and then we'll have a 15-minute turnover, 20-minute turnover, and then the Royal Scam comes on. Now, the Royal Scam, this area has a real love for tribute bands,
Yes,
down at
yes,
the Mohegan
yes.
Sun.
Every
They're
week,
on the
every week.
Thursdays.
That's
all
right.
These,
Bon Jovi from
exactly.
everywhere. Yeah.
Some pretty good ones, too.
They call them
Very
Bon
good, yeah.
Jersey, though.
Is that what they call
Yeah,
it? Bon
yeah,
Jersey.
Bon Jersey.
I didn't know that.
So we have a group called the Royal Scam, and they're a Steely Dan tribute.
Okay.
And if you love the sound of Steely Dan, you close your eyes, you're hearing Steely Dan. These guys are great. So they're coming in, and they're going to play Friday night. And someone will say, "Well, Steely Dan, is that jazz?"
Oh,
And
that's
I'm gonna
jazz.
Say,
That's
absolutely.
jazz.
That's
Rick,
now there's
that's
Absolutely.
jazz pop. Ricky, don't lose that
That's-
number. That's
exactly.
jazz pop.
But
That
that's
is jazz.
one I would ask
Absolutely.
about. Yes, yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it is definitely jazz flavored, jazz rock.
International
fusion, pop.
Geophysical Year.
Absolutely.
What a Wonderful World.
Asia,
82.
any of
Asia.
those?
Yeah, the whole album.
I'll say
Asia.
something about Steely Dan, Walter Becker, and Donald Fagen. They love jazz musicians. They were jazz musicians themselves. They're doing this pop music, and they would say different interviews with like Rolling Stone magazine, for example. I'm not stepping out of turn by saying they would ask them, "Why do you use all these jazz musicians to solo on your records?" And Donald Fagen would say, "Well, that's what they do. If you want the best, you get the guys that do it for a living. Jazz musicians, they solo the best out of all the musicians that are out there." And that's
And then Fagan told him that David D. Cosmo said, "Go big."
Go big.
Right after that.
He did.
That's not a direct quote.
Is
I
that
heard
a direct quote
I've
to
seen that on
Fagan, too?
YouTube.
You said
No,
I've seen it on
never,
YouTube.
I never told him that.
Really?
No.
Well, he got it secondhand then.
Can I
because
just
I've
say,
seen that.
ladies and gentlemen, please appreciate the master here. You're looking at a living legend, I mean, I'm happy to be on his
Not
left
for
side,
long.
your right side, but anyway. So, and then now on Saturday night, we'll get back to I'm sorry.
That would be
we'll
good,
get back
yes.
to the schedule. On Saturday, we have at 5:30, we have our educational program that incorporates young students into the Jazz Festival. We have 27 students that are studying jazz with us right now.
Now,
this
I was going to say,
entire
now
week.
you're running a jazz camp.
Right now at Marywood, we're doing Camp Crescendo Jazz. We have 27 students there, all age categories, that are studying improvisation, history, theory, ensemble playing in various styles, and they're going to perform at the Scranton Jazz Festival. It's a great opportunity for them. and for
These
their
are all
parents.
local.
Great venue.
Yes, these
youngsters?
kids are right here from
venue.
our area that love the music and that are going to carry on that tradition. Education is very important with everything in our society, but especially this music.
And like the run of instruments, like guitar, sax.
There'll be guitar, bass, piano, drums, trumpet, trombone, saxophones, vocalists. All instrument categories are covered. So it's a really exciting thing at 5:30 on Saturday, August 5th, for people to come out and enjoy.
Yeah.
And then right after that, a great, brilliant jazz pianist, Jeff Labson, who's also not just a brilliant jazz pianist, but he's also a painter. He's a visual artist.
gee.
And he does these unbelievable canvases, incorporates music, his music, into the canvas, and then plays those canvases. It's one of the most unique things the people in this area will ever see. Jeff Laibson will be appearing on Saturday at 6:30, followed by, from New York City, a quintet led by trumpet great Eddie Allen. And if you go on YouTube and just check out Eddie Allen, you're going to see one of the most marvelous jazz trumpet players playing today, and he's coming to be at the festival. And then headlining the festival that night, like I told you earlier, is John Pizzarelli and the 17-piece Scranton Jazz Festival Big Band. So it's a great night.
Cross-sampling, too. As we all know, jazz is
Great
so
night.
multi-sided. And I go back to the late 70s, early 80s, Chick Corea when they crossed over. Artists that you don't think are really jazz artists. Well, Grover Washington Jr., he's more pop. But
Great.
the late Al Jarreau.
Awesome.
He was jazz before he was pop. He was jazz before he was rhythm and blues.
Yeah.
Al Jarreau, jazz guys. There's such
And won Grammys in all categories, too. Al Jarreau
that's
won
correct.
Grammys in all
categories.
All
That's
categories,
correct.
but was a great jazz musician. So now we move on to, I will say that on Friday, Saturday, we have a jazz walk that happens in downtown Scranton at multiple venues. If you come to the Radisson and you want to stay a little bit later and you want to go around on the streets of Scranton, it's a little more like a New Orleans sort of flavor, a West Village sort of flavor. You could go to multiple venues where there's more music playing until 2
Oh,
o'clock
so that's
in the morning.
almost like
I
a First
see.
Friday kind of thing, where
Yeah,
you can
but-
catch different
to
groups.
2 in the
That's
morning.
what that is. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So late.
That's what the jazz
Late
walk is
night,
to other
yeah.
venues.
Other
That's a
venues
great
that
idea.
we bring into Scranton,
great idea.
into the main stage.
Where are those artists coming from?
They're coming from the region and they're coming nationally as well. And they're playing in the various venues that when you get the program book and you open it up, you look at the map that's provided there for you and you could go around to
Great
different
tie-in
places.
with the main festival. Great
Exactly.
tie-in.
I think that's an
Exactly.
excellent idea.
Absolutely.
And you
Yeah, big
show
time.
off.
Thank you.
You show off Scranton a bit at the same
Absolutely.
time.
So important to show off our town because we have a great town. And we have great things to see in this town. Architecturally, we have great things to see.
Yes.
We have great people. We have great other venues to share with the audience. And when someone comes from out of town and they see the main stage and they see what we do there and they see the beauty of the Radisson, Lackawanna train station, and then they walk out and it's on a beautiful
We
night and they
just
can
covered,
see the,
Marco,
see the town.
architecture in another show. The
Yeah.
Cleland Simpson building, the
Please.
Glover Crown, the bank,
best.
the bank next
Yeah.
door where Wanda, a major motion picture back in '70 was filmed in the bank next door. There was a shootout with the Scranton police at the bank next door to us here.
Jeez.
Some Wanda.
Wait a minute,
Unbelievable.
shootout?
It was a shootout.
There was one just in Wilkes-Barre last night.
Yeah, well, this is a movie. That's
Oh,
the
okay,
difference.
I'm sorry.
There's a 10-mile difference there, Marco, between the real thing and Hollywood.
I'm all right. I'm sorry, bro. I just wanted to jump in there. But so we have the Jazz Walk, and then on Sunday, that's our headliner, Stanley Clark, will be playing at 8 o'clock, and right before him, another great New York musician who comes to us from Santa Barbara, California, Nate Berkey. He's like kind of like the modern day Chet Baker. Remember Chet Baker?
Chet Baker.
You love Chet Baker. You told me we were having
You
a
told
drink
Chet
one night.
Baker to go big when he was nothing.
One
when he was
night you were
playing
like,
in the
I
club,
love the
David.
way Chet sings
You know
and plays.
Chet
Come
Baker.
on, Dave.
Come on, Dave.
You love Chet.
I
You
love
love Chet
Chet.
Baker.
I
Yeah.
love Chet.
See, I told you. I told you. So Nate Berkey will be here with his group, and that's Sunday. And then we have a huge jam session at the end of the night, Sunday. Whatever musicians around, we have a jam session at the Radisson until midnight, where
Now-
everyone's joining in
now-
and playing.
I have to ask first.
Go ahead.
Big bucks to bring in a Stanley Clark.
Well, it's. I'm not going to say that it's not expensive.
Yeah.
It costs money.
Yeah.
But our ticket prices are extremely
Yeah,
reasonable.
but to bring him in though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's coming
big
from
bucks, right?
France.
I know. Yeah,
He's coming
that's what I
from
thought.
France, and he's flying right into our area from his tour, and he's performing here.
Because you never know, when these guys are out of the limelight for 10, 15 years, you get a break on it. But guys like this never go out of the limelight.
No, this
Big
is,
bucks
you
all
know,
the time.
in Europe especially,
Absolutely,
jazz in
they're
Europe,
revered. They're revered.
revered
Correct.
superstars.
Now,
Superstars.
the jam session, though, that's more like is it not, where they kind of go on their own and do their own thing?
All right, let me settle this with you. Okay, we've had this talk before.
We've
but
got to do it again.
Listen, when we're having a conversation here right now, Rusty, yourself, and I, we're like a little trio. And I take the lead for a little while.
Correct.
I say a few things. You take the lead. You say a few things. Rusty takes the lead and says a few
That
things.
sounds
We
fun.
listen
That's
to
a
one
word.
another.
See, that's
We
a
listen
good
to one
analogy.
another.
That's a
We
good
listen to
analogy.
one another.
Absolutely,
We
yeah.
play off one another, and that's what jazz is. That's what's happening with these jazz musicians. When I want to say, David, I'm going to step back and I want to listen to you. I want to learn from you for a few minutes. That's you taking your 15-minute solo, and that's me listening to that and saying, I hear what he's saying. I want to do that in my next solo. That's what we do in jazz
I think we
music.
have it
That's
put
why
into
it's so
perspective
important.
now. I think if
That's
we have a
why
good
it's
look,
so
yeah.
important
And I
to
will
have that kind of
I will
soloing and expression.
I will candidly admit that I did see a session like that. It was in Hawaii with
Yeah.
Slide Hyde.
Ooh.
Slide
Slide
played
Hyde.
with Frank Sinatra.
Okay.
He's on YouTube with Bobby Darin, where he does a big finish for Bobby Darin. But
Beautiful.
Slide is in Hawaii now, and they did they'd had a jam session.
Yeah.
And I must admit, it was not what I feared.
Okay.
So
I love that you said that.
Yes, and I did enjoy that. But I think for those that have the illusion of
You're right.
jazz that I
That's
mentioned
why we brought
earlier,
that up, yes.
that's the thing that
Yes.
could turn them off. And that's why we say, we tell you on this program, let's tell it like it
And
is.
it's true, Marco. You look at an early jazz album, and there's one song, and it's the whole side. So it is true.
Here's what I'm gonna say to that.
people think.
Cats want to express themselves. They have an opportunity to
Right.
do that. They want to take that, and it's a beautiful
It's
thing.
their chance to go big.
It's their chance to go big, to quote you.
Go big, David.
But also, I will tell the audience, don't shy away from that, because when you see jazz live, when you see any kind of music in a live performance setting, it's definitely more transformable than when you hear it or see it on television.
yes,
Right.
yes.
Live makes a whole other impact.
No, you're right.
Soul.
You're right. Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
So that's something to keep in mind with that. That's all I'm saying. Okay?
Yeah, and these are all, of course, live performances.
Right, and the best of the best you're going to get. There's no one's phoning it in, as we say in the business.
Right.
No one's phoning it in.
Right.
These guys, the goods that are delivered to you are of the highest quality. It would cost you hundreds of dollars to see any of these acts
You're right.
in New York City. Hundreds.
And a lot of those
here,
would be a track act, too, where most of the
Exactly.
instrumentation is pre-recorded. You only sing the live vocals.
Exactly.
So that's kind of a fraudulent deal there. This is the real deal.
And check this
Bottom
out.
line.
On a Friday night, $10. On a Saturday night, $25. On a Sunday night, $30.
Well, you're absolutely right
how you
there.
gonna go
no,
wrong?
no, you could not go to a major metropolitan area and see any of these for less than probably $200, $300.
Hey, more in parking, David.
Oh, sure,
this.
sure,
So,
absolutely.
and then how about I tell the people in our viewing audience that the box office phone number is 570-575-5282, and you could get tickets at ScrantonJazzFestival.org or check it out, our man Joe Nardone, the legend,
Gallery of
the
Sound,
legend,
the legend.
all Gallery of Sound
right.
locations. Joe's our man. We love you, Joe. He's very
Let
supportive.
me ask you
He
this.
is.
Obviously, if you are a jazz lover, obviously, if you are a music lover, this is something big for you. It means something to you that will be lasting. Is there an overall benefit to the community being Scranton, being Lackawanna County, being northeastern Pennsylvania? Is there a star for us in having such a festival in our backyard?
In U.S. News and World Report, Scranton is voted now 86, one of the best places to live in the whole United States. Okay, we're in the top 100.
Top 100.
We're in the top 100. In U.S. World and News Report, right, in this journal, you're familiar with it.
Yeah, sure.
It lists the Scranton Jazz Festival as one of the reasons why.
about that?
And let me
Is
tell
that
you,
a
we're very
fact?
proud of that. It is a fact. You could look it up. We're very proud of that because all great metropolitan areas, and we might not be as large as Philly or New York or Pittsburgh, right? But we're a metropolitan area unto ourselves, and all places need to have great art and culture. And that lifts the spirit of the human condition in any place. So we have great sports here, we have great art and culture here, we have a lot of great schooling here. There's
Let me
nothing
go
wrong
one
with
better,
Northeastern
and
PA.
David-
Everyone's got to live somewhere, David. That's what you said to me
Well, you
years
said-
ago.
Marco, David will remember this, but until the early 90s, this was the top 50 radio and television
Yeah.
market.
Yeah.
Top 50 out of 350 markets.
Say
now,
no
people
more.
now, it's a whole new generation. It's
Say
a new
no more.
generation's generation now, and of course,
Yeah.
a lot of the folks have moved on and have
Yep.
passed on. But it's like top 50 radio and television markets, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
And it makes us that much more greater for that, and the recognition that goes along with that goes a long way.
So I
as well.
take your answer as being really, we've said this a couple times, a quality of life.
I think so. Now, my quality of life, if you look at me, I'm living pretty high on the hog here, but whatever. Go big. You did tell me that.
Go big.
Go big. He told me, ladies and gentlemen, go big.
But that's what it does for us, the area.
Yes.
It gives you another plus thing to have, to look forward to come and enjoy.
It is great, though. It's not a flash in the pan.
No.
13 years. That's something to boast.
We're very
I
proud
have to
of
tell
that.
you, absolutely.
And
I
I don't,
thank you for your
I
support,
don't
and I thank
suspect
you for
it's
your
very
support.
easy to
Absolutely.
plan when you do have a big name group coming in. This isn't something that
No.
you can
No,
do in a 2-3
no,
week
you're right.
notice.
You're right.
I'll start looking at booking this, and with Bob Schlesinger, our executive director, and the committee that we have, board members, we'll start discussing things 2-3 months after the festival is over, going into the fall, late summer. We're already talking about next year.
Very quickly before we have to sign off.
Yeah.
The young people that you're working with right now in Camp
Yes.
and that are going to perform on
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
What do you see as our future with kids like that? I mean, are they good? Do they have the promise, the potential?
Yeah, absolutely. They have the promise and the potential. They get expert instruction.
In theory, too.
Yeah,
The
they-
background, the history, that's what you want.
And let me tell you, going back 13 years, we have students from 13 years ago that were students that are professionals now that are playing at a festival like this and other festivals and in clubs in the area. Many of my students are musicians that I perform with now that have come through the ranks and that play really
That
well.
speaks pretty highly
Well,
of them then.
Sure does.
I appreciate you saying that, but it's part of the process. It's part of the process. Someone studies under your tutelage concerning TV and radio, they're going to get expert training. Same over here. They're going to get expert training. And that's what we do. We share our knowledge so someone else could carry on this tradition.
Yeah, when will that group be performing?
On Saturday, August 5th at 5:30.
5:30.
We have the Marywood Camp Crescendo Jazz, Scranton Jazz Festival student combos.
Okay, Marco, thank you so much. And again,
Marco,
the
thank you. Good luck.
Scranton Jazz
Thanks.
Festival,
Thanks,
it is
Rusty.
Friday, August 4th, Saturday, August 5th, and Sunday, August 6th at the Radisson. And then afterwards, you'll have the Jazz Walk with various venues throughout the city. So come on out and enjoy it, learn something, and, as I did. Go big.
Go
Go
big.
big.
Go big.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Rusty.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Marky.
Thank you, ECTV.
Go big.
I'm
Go
David
big.
DeCosmo for ECTV Live. Until we see you again next week, here's hoping all your news is good.